I've kind of been on this fan art kick lately, and the last one I did, I believe, was Bubbles, I want to say, from the Powerpuff Girls, and I've been wanting to do a whole lot more. I don't know, I just haven't gotten around to it. I haven't gotten around to doing a lot of things lately that I need to be doing, like more art, which is what I said I was going to do, and I haven't done it, so shame on me for not doing what I said I was going to do in the first place. But I did want to get into doing more fan art. Oh, I just looked back. Actually, the last piece of fan art I did was a Acrylian, I think that's how you say, no, Namekian. Okay, I had the wrong show. So I did a Namekian girl because Jackson Z on Instagram had this whole challenge where you were supposed to draw a Namekian girl from Dragon Ball Z. So that was the last piece of like fan art that I did. But before that, it was Blossom, and that was actually a while ago. I don't know how many months ago that was. I want to say it was in like February is when I did her. So that was a long time ago, and I've really been wanting to do more fan art. I just haven't done it, and I figured why not just do it. Like, I just need to just do the fan art that I want to do, and I really wanted to do Princess Bubblegum. I actually did some old, I used to do a lot of old Adventure Time fan art. It's on my DeviantArt. I'll see if I can find it. If I can, maybe I'll insert it. If I can't find it, then I can't find it, whatever. But they weren't the greatest pictures. It was like full body pictures, and I think I was going on stock websites and then just like referencing the stock photos, and then I would reference that and make it, just turn the stock photo into whoever character I wanted it to be. I think I only did like 3 of them, but either way, I used to do Princess Bubblegum fan art, and I thought it'd be so cool to do it again, but it did not turn out the way that I wanted it to. This is definitely not my best work at all. I can definitely do way better than this, but this is what she turned out like. I was actually kind of tempted to not even put this up. I was tempted to not put it on my Instagram or anything. I was gonna just like, okay, whatever, this one's crappy, and we're just gonna forget I did this one altogether. But that is not the correct way to do things, you know. Just because I don't like it and I don't think that it's up to par with the work that I usually do, I don't think that's a good enough reason to not show it still, you know. Even though I like all the stuff that I do usually, every once in a while I do make something where it's not that I don't like it, but I know I can do a lot better than what I actually produced. And that's kind of what happened with this one. I know I can do a lot better than what I actually end up showing, but I'm going to show it anyways because, you know, this is important. Not everyone can produce 100% of their work 100% of the time. So, you know, I figured I'd just show something I don't like, because usually I'm like, I love it, it's great, you know, but for this one I kind of don't like it too much. I think her face is shaped a little weird. I think her lips are like in the wrong position, and I erased and redrew her lips so many times. I don't know if you can see it in the beginning in the sketch how like dark that area is, because I erased over there so many times because I kept trying to get the lips where but I don't know what was wrong. It's like I couldn't line them up properly, so I probably should have just erased the whole face and started again, but I didn't really want to do that. So I tried repositioning the lips a couple of times, and it still didn't turn out the way I wanted. I also think the hand is too small, and I don't know, I don't like the way her face looks. I think her face could look better just in terms of general aesthetics. I think her face could look better. But that's pretty much the parts that I don't like about this drawing. Everything else I kind of really like. I like how solid the skin came out, because usually I'm really splotchy with stuff like that. I used to be really good at doing like watercolors and stuff, and then I stopped really doing them too much. So this is I think this is ink and watercolor. No, it's all inks. It's just 2 different brands of inks that I mix together. The first layer that I did, that is all Dr. Martens, I want to say. And then I don't know what the brand is of the second layer of the ones that I did. But for her hair, I did 1 layer with just straight red ink that I just watered down and made it pink. And then for the second layer, I added a little bit of like, it was like a purpley, like more of a purplish burgundy color. And I just added that into the color I already had just to give her hair a darker color, because I actually looked up what her hair really looks like, and it is pink, but it's more like it's more on the purple side of pink. It's like a darker pink and more purple than what her skin tone is. So that's why I go over it a second time with a much richer, darker pink For this, I wasn't actually sure if I wanted to do her all in color, but then I was like, it's Princess Bubblegum, so you have to do her in all color. If you're gonna draw her, she has to be done properly. I was debating whether she should be chewing a piece of bubblegum or have a lollipop, and then I was like, maybe she shouldn't have any of that, because why would she eat the candy? But in the end, I did just decide to go with the lollipop. I thought it was a pretty cute pose, and plus I wanted to get a hand in there somehow. I didn't want it to be just her head. I do a lot of portraits with just someone's face, so I'm going to try incorporating hands a little bit more, or something else in it, just to add a little bit more dynamics to it, because even though I do like the straight on drawings that I do with just the faces, sometimes that can get a little boring and a little static, and when I'm looking through my feed I can see that, so I wanted to include a hand. But I also noticed that because of the hand and because of the position that she's in, she looks a whole lot like my Blossom drawing. Like, she looks a lot like her. Is it Blossom? Yeah, that's her name, Blossom. She looks a lot like her. And it's not even, I did use a reference for the Blossom drawing, and the girl's hand was in that position and she was turned that direction. But for this one, I actually looked at a couple of different references and I just kind of mashed them all together, what I wanted to do with it. I just needed to get visual confirmation of where things should be, even though her lips are still in the wrong freaking place. But I don't know how she ended up looking so much like her when they're not even the same reference, and they look so much alike. They're facing the same direction. Maybe it's because, I think it's because they're facing the same direction. They each have a hand in the same position. Their hair is similar, just a different color, and they both have something on their heads. So that's why I think it looks a lot like Blossom to me, and I could have done better than that. Yeah, she looks a lot like Blossom to me. So I wish I would have changed a couple of things up a little bit just to give it not so much of a Blossom look. And it wasn't until I was actually done painting it that when I looked at her and I was like, wow, she looks a lot like the one that I did a Blossom. So whatever, Princess Bubblegum, Blossom, maybe they're the same person. Either way, this is still not what I had wanted it to be, but I'm okay with how it turned out. I'm not devastated that it didn't turn out the way that I wanted, but it isn't the one I wanted, but I'm not I don't hate it. Maybe is what I'm trying to say. I don't hate the drawing, but it's not what I wanted it to turn out to be. And I know that I can produce work a lot better than this, definitely. But as far as what I actually did for the drawing, I just drew it out, and then I did my regular cross-hatching shading like I normally do. And then for that, I usually look at a reference and try to see where the light source is coming from. So I usually follow a reference for my light source because I'm not very good with that. So I look at either the reference that I was using for the drawing, but because I was using so many different references, I just referenced someone that was facing that direction and had light on them. So I ended up using 4 references, I think, for this, plus what the actual Princess Bubblegum looks like, so the cartoon reference as well. But that's what I end up doing. I reference light usually. If the picture that I have doesn't want the lighting that I want, I usually reference someone that's in that same position, and I reference their lighting. I said reference 20 million times, so whatever. But after I did my cross hatching, then I just put a layer of water down wherever I know I'm gonna paint the skin, just because that's the way that I get the skin to not be so blotchy. So I put a layer of water down, and then I put the paint on, and that actually helped thin it out more too and get it a lighter pink. So when I know I'm going to do something like that, I actually usually make the color in my palette slightly darker, because I know I'm going to add the water layer on first, and then when I add the color, it's going to be lighter than what it looks like in the palette. So that's what I do. I put the water down first, and then I put the paint down, and then that's how I get it smooth, I guess. As for her hair, I told you I put 2 layers on that one, just because I wanted it to be a more solid color, and also I wanted it to be darker than what it was originally. After that, I think that's basically everything I did. I didn't do anything much after that. I just lined it up, outlined it again with a thicker marker. Sometimes that makes me like something a little bit more when I outline it again with a thicker marker. I actually forgot her shoulder in the final one. I mean, not the final, but in the final of me painting, I forgot her shoulder. I went back and put it in. I just didn't record that part where I put her shoulder back in. I tend to do that a lot. I forget shoulders. I don't know what my problem is. I'll draw it in the sketch, and then I'll erase it, and then I won't draw it in when it's supposed to be there. So I forgot her shoulder. When I edit, usually like once I'm done with everything, I scan it into my computer and then it's time to edit. And when I edit it, I actually edit all my pictures on Krita. I don't think I've ever talked about what program I use to edit my drawings. So I edit all my drawings on Krita, which is a free program. It's a free editing software and it's great if you're not, I don't do much on it. It's not like I'm drawing on it. I don't do a lot of digital art. I just like to edit the picture to make it look as close to what it looks like in real life. So I didn't do much on here. I basically just removed the background so that way I can put a solid background. And the reason why I remove it is because the paper gets warped when I'm painting on it. So when I scan it onto my computer, you can see the warping on it in shadows. So when I scan it in, it has shadows in the background. So I remove the whole background altogether. So that way I can just put a clear white background, like just a straight white background on it. So that way it looks the way it's supposed to look. It also helps that I can mess with the colors. Before it gets into Krita, I do mess with the colors just in like the regular Microsoft photo editor or whatever. I just mess with the levels and everything, and I don't have to worry about the background distorting because I know I'm going to remove it anyways. So that's what I have for this Princess Bubblegum drawing and me explaining my process a little bit because I don't usually do that. I just have a topic I talk about. So that's it. Sorry she looks like Blossom. Okay, bye.